In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the new value format option within Google Tag Manager. All and more coming up. Hey there, welcome back to another video of MeasureSchool.com, teaching you the data-driven way of digital marketing. My name is Julian, and today we want to talk about the new GTM feature, value format value option. It is a live video that we're doing right now, so if you're watching this live or on the replay, welcome to this live stream. I want to really quickly dive into this new feature. It is a small change in Google Tag Manager, but makes it ever more convenient to deploy our tags. So what am I talking about today? Let's dive in. We have a little demo prepared here. So inside of your Google Tag Manager account, if you create a new variable, and we're going to do this right now. Let's say we want to pull something out of the data layer. You will find down here a option called format value. And what is this all about? If we click on it, we have this drop-down menu with this checkbox menu that opens up where we can check different boxes. And let's go through them just to explain. We can convert the value that comes in to our field of the data layer. We can convert it to lowercase, so all of the value will be lowercase, or to uppercase. We can convert a null value to something that we type in here, or a variable, an input variable. We can change around a undefined value. We can change around or convert a true value or a false value. So all of these values nowadays can be changed around. You might be familiar with the set default value. How does that actually differ? Well, set default was if it's not filled, so undefined, or if it's null, so these two cases would be transferred into the set default value. So let's say we have a value come in, that would be our category, the category for this particular product or whatever, category. All right. And let's say this value would be undefined because we are not actually on a category page, we are on the cart page, right? This value would be undefined. If I would say, okay, the category is currently not set, that would be my default value if it's undefined. But what if that actually turns into null? Then it also would be not set. So the default value actually covers these two cases. Now, where it gets more interesting, I would say, is the changed case to uppercase or lowercase. And if you have faulty data in your or inconsistent data in your data layer, you can rewrite that uppercase or lowercase in that case and change this around later on. Do you want to try this out? Let's look into the data layer here and see what we could change. So let's say we would just like to change this page post type, which is in the data layer. We would fill this in as our data. No, this was wrong. Paste. Sometimes you can't actually copy this, so we would need to put this in page post type. And let's get rid of this first of all. Or let's try out this change to uppercase. So we want to change our post type to uppercase. Save this, refresh. And now the value that actually goes into our variable should be our product. And it is then rewritten, hopefully, into uppercase. Where do we go? Here, product. So you can see now it's all uppercase. The same, you can do the same for lowercase, obviously, which wouldn't make much sense because it's already in lowercase. But in this value option is very useful if you want to standardize your data. Now, I could think of one concrete case where this would actually make sense. And this is something you could use in your tracking as well. If you have a bigger company, you probably have encountered the problem in analytics where you look into your acquisition reports, and we will look into our all traffic source medium reports here. And we see we have the same data. People came from Facebook, but it has a little spelling or a different kind of spelling in Facebook, Facebook like this, this or this, and it's not consistent. The data is not consistent. Now this could happen if you have a larger team and some people do social media tagging on their UTM parameters. Some people do UTM parameters on their display campaigns, for example. And they all have a slight variation in how they spell Facebook, although it's one word, the same, but uppercase and lowercase get mixed up. And now this data is not unusable. I mean, you could have some workaround, but it's annoying to look at because really you had that many. You would need to summarize or sum up all of these users to know how many users actually came from Facebook. Although it's all from the same source, just a little mistake here where people put in a UTM parameter just like this, UTM Facebook, like this, and they had just this little word turned around. Maybe they had Facebook in here, or they had Facebook like this, and that then results in different rows in our source medium report. So classical example, how could you solve this with the help of Google Tag Manager? Well, we have the ability, and this gets a little bit advanced, but if you wanted to change this on the measurement side, we have the ability to pick up the UTM parameter from our URL and write that right into our Google Analytics page view that is firing. How would we do this? Well, first of all, we would need to build a UTM source variable. So let's go ahead and go with UTM. Well, this will be a URL variable, so I'm going to name this correctly. And for our UTM source, and we want to pull from the URL the query parameter of UTM source. Let's save this and try this out. Refresh. Well, we didn't have our UTM in here, so that will be undefined. UTM Facebook. All right. And in our variables now, you should be able to see our where did we have it? URL UTM source, and it's Facebook. So it's set to whatever is filled in here. Now, if the user comes in and puts in Facebook, or the user, the marketing manager who gives out that UTM parameter, and the user comes in with an inconsistent Facebook here, we would have that obviously also transferred in our variable, and here Facebook. Now the format value option comes in. We can go with our Google tag into our variable and say here under format value, we want to change this all to lowercase, for example. Let's save this. Refresh, test this again. All right, we have here our UTM source is now lowercase Facebook, which makes all our UTMs from now on, or not yet, but all our UTMs that come into this variable will be lowercase. So they make them consistent, and we wouldn't have a mess if we send this over correctly. How do you send this actually over correctly? Because inside of our Google Analytics, it will not do this by default. It will just take it from the URL and then transfer it to Google Analytics. We actually need to do it explicitly in our Google Analytics tag. So I'm going to go into our page view tag that I have deployed here. And I have enabled the override settings, and under the more settings, we can go to field to set option. And under the field to set option, we can set the source, the campaign source, that's the field, to explicitly take the campaign source from a variable, which in our case would be the URL UTM source. So every time somebody comes with a UTM parameter, it will explicitly take it from the variable, and this variable obviously rewrites it from whatever we have. So let's refresh this and refresh our page. So although we have Facebook up here now, we should be able in our real-time reporting to look under sources. And okay, we still have Facebook in here. I hope this demo works, as I haven't really tested. Yeah, campaign source now should be Facebook. And here it doesn't rewrite it in the source. Let me actually go into my cookies and simulate if I would meet a new user coming to this page through this source. What does it say? No, it would still count me as a source from Facebook. Odd. Well, that might be the case in the real-time report. Oh, Facebook would be definitely different. Facebook. Okay, now we're coming from Facebook. So it might be that now it doesn't do it in a real-time reporting. Okay, it might be the case that in a real-time reporting that isn't yet processed, but I'm pretty sure if you have set the campaign source here correctly, in our case that would be right here. Well, where is it? Maybe it doesn't do it. Is it not yet deployed? Get this error. Let's try this again. Oh yeah, I went out of Google Tag Manager because I deleted all the cookies. Okay, that is a mistake you shouldn't do. So here you can see now the campaign source is explicitly sent over and it's always lowercase. So I'd expect it to also be in the later reports all written in lowercase. That may not be the case inside of the real-time reporting, so I'm sorry for this little demo. It didn't work in the first try. But I'd say that it should work in the campaign source later on in the reports that we would see in the acquisition and the all traffic reports, because maybe there's more processing going on in the background later on when the data comes actually into this report. So again, this would be one use case where you see inconsistent data in Google Analytics. You want to maybe not go the hard route of telling everybody, hey, you need to use that particular tag. And you want to then do it on the measurement side and build that into your system so it's all lowercase right away. So that's where you could use that value format option. So I hope this shows you a little bit how you could use this. Now, the other values here, convert, null, undefined, they have their use cases as well. If you have a null value that comes in, which is a false value really, or a undefined value in certain circumstances, you might want to override this quickly. You could do this, and this functionality was there before. You could build a data layer variable. No, not data, a lookup table variable, and also rewrite these values. Now it's built into every variable, so it's a little bit more convenient and easier to use. The undefined value, I think, is important. Undefined has a special meaning in Google Analytics, because if you send over an undefined value in Google Analytics, it will actually be dropped from the hit completely. So Google Analytics won't even see that value field. So even if you send over a content group as undefined, you might not even see undefined in Google Analytics because it will just be dropped and set to no set. That's the default value option in Google Analytics. So if there's no data available, it will just be set to no set. Now, if you want to explicitly not have not set in there, or explicitly send something over that is, for example, no text or no category or not a category page in the content group or in any other custom dimension, for example, you could use that value field, the convert to undefined, to something that is more convenient for you to read and to remember later when you see it in Google Analytics. Now this goes into some special cases where you actually have undefined values and you would like to rename them. Again, a field that you could definitely use in such cases. All right, I hope this helped you out to understand a little bit of the use case of this new format value field. If you have more questions about this, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. We also have a little bit of a Q&A going on afterwards, so if you're live, you can stick around. As always, and give us a thumbs up, because we'll bring you new videos just like this one and live streams as well every week. Now, my name is Julian. Till next time.